In today's session, we will continue with the data modeling part. So as part of this today's session, we will take a look at what is a data model and why data model is required. Data modeling is required, and also we will take a look at what is cardinality and the different types of cardinalities. And also, we will see how we can deal with many-to-many relationship. And followed by this, we'll cover cross-filter direction, activate and inactivate relationship. I don't think so I can cover everything in today's session. Okay, so these topics falls under data modeling. Let me see how many of them I should be able to cover it today. Okay, because we are hard pressed with the timings. So first of all, what is a data model? What is a data model? Any idea? Anybody has any idea? If you don't know, no problem. Okay, so data model is something like an architect's blueprint, something like a roadmap or architect's blueprint. So what is a blueprint? So before you construct a house, you need to have a blueprint. If you don't have a blueprint and if you construct a house blindly, what will happen is later point in time, after, let's say, after you construct the house without having any blueprint in place, if you find any changes, if you need any changes to be done to your house, it's a lot of work, right? You need to break your house. Especially, I'll give you the classic example. When you use the concealed drainage pipe, everything, right? So in that case, what will happen is, if you don't have the blueprint, proper blueprint, if you don't plan it before construction well, so what will happen is later you construct your house, and if you realize, hey, I missed out I somehow overlooked by keeping a concealed pipe in this place. So now in order to keep this, I need to make some alteration, but that alteration can cause a major change in your house. Right? Similarly, to before you develop a product or any application, we first design the data model. So we first come up with a plan for how to design the tables, all the things. Okay, and then only we will proceed with developing a product or applications. So as part of data model, we define the relationship. In simple terms, that is what we do it. We define the relationship. So what do you mean by relationship? For example, customers, who is ordering the product? Customers are ordering the product from different territories. They are ordering the products. Customers are not, let's say you see your product or your e-commerce website or your retail chain is spread across various locations. In that case, obviously, customers might order it from different locations. So in that case, you have three different entities: customers, orders, and territories. So how these three entities are related, that matters a lot. Okay, we need to create a relationship between these tables. So vendors, right? From which vendor we purchase the products. So vendors is a separate entity and purchase are separate entity. So, right, so see, in the case of data model, we need to establish the relationship between tables. Why should I establish a relationship between tables? Can't I store all the data in the same file? You can store everything in a single file because every day data volume itself very huge. So in that case, what will happen is, if you have to store the entire data, so every day you are getting the order related data, daily orders you are getting in different files. Let's say last 7 days data you have it, but or last 7 days data is not stored in a single file. It's all available in an individual file. You need to combine all these things and then you need to make a consolidated file. Supposing you wanted to load the data every week, every once in 7 days, you need to combine all the 7 days files and merge it, and then you need to load it in the orders table. So in that case, For each and every day, if you have to combine the customers table, territories table data with the orders file, it is a painful process. And also it is a redundant. Unnecessarily you are merging all the these three files into a single file. And also every day you need to do this one, plus once in 7 days, right? Once in a week you need to combine all these 7 files. That is a painful process. And also storing all these data into, or entities data into a single file will cause unnecessary redundancy. Redundantly you are storing the data. For that reason also we are doing the data modeling. Okay, you just think that way. Okay, we'll take a deep dive when I proceed further. Okay, so why it is causing redundancy, everything we'll see it little later. There are 3 types of data model. One is conceptual data model, and the next one is logical, and then the physical data model. The conceptual is during the requirements gathering. In the case of software development life cycle, the first phase is the requirements gathering. You need to find out the pain points from your stakeholders by conducting the workshops with each line of business managers. Each department managers, you need to conduct a workshop in order to understand what pain points currently are they facing it. And then what you do is you come up with some kind of solution. You need to come up with a solution to address their pain. Okay, currently let's say the users are storing their data in their local laptop or local server. The corporate office, let's say you operate across 10 different locations in India, or 5 different locations in India you are operating. For example, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, and other let's say Mumbai, Pune. These 5 locations you have office branches. Let's say Bangalore is going to be your corporate office, and each branch managers, they are storing the data in their local system or local server. If they want to get the unified view, it is very challenging. Everyone has to send their file to you every once in 7 days. Before they sending it, each day data they need to consolidate. For example, every once in a week they have to share their data, each branch data to you. In that case, what will happen is each day volume of the data is very huge, and you need to combine all those 7 days data. It's a very huge data. On top, if they share it to you over the net, it takes a lot of time, right? So to get the holistic view about how the business is going, it's a challenging one, right? So initially, first of all, right, so this is the pain they are posing it currently. When you have a discussion with all this line of managers nothing but department manager, each department manager, you get to know this is one of the pain. If you want to get the unified view, it's a challenging one, because we'll have to ship the data to the corporate office. It's painful thing. This is one of the pain points. And other people, they say, okay, I am using Excel now. Different location branch people, they use different tools. Okay, they wanted to use a single tool across the location, and also they want to get the unified view. So these are the pain points. Likewise, you are while you have the discussion with each branch manager, you are noting down their pain points. You need to come up with a solution. So as part of requirements gathering, this is what you do it. While conducting a workshop with each location branch manager, you get to know these are the pain points. You come up with a solution. And also what you do is you come up with a data conceptual data model. So what do you mean by conceptual data model? In order to solve their requirements. Okay, so one specific department manager in a specific branch, they say they wanted to know the product wise sales by store, or in the corporate office, the VP sales, vice president sales, he wants to see all the 5 stores are 5 locations, 5 stores product wise sales by quarter, or sales by year, or sales by month, or sales by every week on week sales. They want to do some kind of comparison. This is one of the use cases. So in that case, what you do is, okay, they wanted to have a report something like every week on week, they want to see a report which shows store wise, product wise sales by week or month or quarter. So in that case, what you do is you come up with the entities. These are called entities. So in order to show the sales, obviously you need to have the transaction data, and then the product. They want a product wise, store wise, sales by quarter or year. So in the case time, you need to have a time, because it's all time based, week on week, month on month, quarter on quarter, year on year, or day by day, right? So today and yesterday data sales, they want to compare it. So time, product, store and sales, these four entities are required in order to come up with a solution for this specific use case. This is a report, business query requirement. Sorry, this is called, they used to, different company, they use different terms. This is one of the requirements. You just think that this is one of the requirements, or this is one of the use cases. You now, so let's say after having a discussion with them, now you are able to conceptually come up with these four entities in your brain, right? The next step is you need to come up with a logical data model. How do you come up with a logical data model? By identifying the properties of each entities. So what is the property for product? The product name, and then the price, cost price and selling price, and effective start date, effective end date, because the price can also vary over a period of time. It is not constant. Based on the season, they might reduce the price, and when the demand goes high, and if the supply is less, that kind of situation, they will increase the price also, right? So these are the price, unit price, and stock on hand, and all those things, they will be having it in this one. These are the properties of the product. And time, so the managers, they wanted to see the, or they wanted to perform year on year sales performance, quarter on quarter, week on week, or on a day, day to day, they want to compare this day with so and so day sales analysis. So in that case, you need to store the data. You need to store year, month, date, quarter, years. That much. So daily. So the granularity of this one is daily, right? So daily sales. So the more the granular, you can do slicing, dicing, or you can do drill down at any given level. Okay, supposing you want to view the data at the year level, sales performance. If you want to perform year on year sales performance, you should be able to perform the analysis, because you store the data at the year level. And quarter level, if you store it, yes, you can drill down to quarter level, and you can perform quarter on quarter sales comparison. Is it possible for us to perform month on month? Yes, we stored month on month wise data. Daily data also we are storing. Up to daily data we store in this sales table. Hence, in the time or the date calendar, or sorry, the date dimension or the time dimension will have the date till daily date, right? So it will have the granularity till the daily data. Okay, and the next one is store. So which all stores, which location we sell the product. So in the Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, and Pune and Mumbai, 5 different locations, right? So okay, so what is the property of this one? If you say yes, my retail store ID you need to mention, store description, and then region, which region this store falls under, and then what is the region name, and then the created, when did we create this record, right? So the properties of each entity you identify it as part of the logical data model, and also you establish, right, you identify the relationship between all these tables. As part of the conceptual data model itself, we'll come up with the number of entities required to address the use case, or to match with the use case requirement. You already defined, you are able to conceptualize the entities, but it is at a very high level. At the time of coming up with the conceptual data model itself, we define the relationship between these entities. Okay, and the next one is in the case of logical data model, for each entity, what are the attributes that are required, properties of each and every entities is nothing but the attributes we identified. Oh, these are the columns that are required to store in each entity. The physical data model, we define the data type, everything. For example, in this case, physical data modeling, we not only identified the columns that are required as part of each table, and also the corresponding data type also we come up as part of the physical data model. So hope you understood these three different types of data model: conceptual data model, logical data model, physical. This is how in the real time, in the real world, or in the case of typical software development life cycle, we design the data model. Okay, and now the question is, why data model is required? Why data model is required? Right, so data model is required in order to perform the slicing and dicing. Data model is required to perform the slicing and dicing. What do you mean by slicing and dicing? To rearrange or perform, let's say if you want to perform the analysis in n number of ways or variety of ways, right? That is called your slicing and dicing. Okay, and first of all, why we need a data model? So now you understood what is data model. Data model is kind of a blueprint, and in the case of data model, we need to identify the relationship between the tables. Why relationship is required? Because you want to do some kind of slicing, and if you want to do some kind of slicing and dicing, obviously you need to have the relationship between the tables. Okay, still maybe you are not able to get a complete handle what exactly data model is all about. When I explain about why data model, you will be able to understand very clearly. I will just go to the Power BI. I just open it. Oh, I opened the Power BI report builder. This is called report builder. I need the desktop. It will take some time to load it. So in the meantime, let us look at these two tables. I have a table or .csv file. I have a file name called country, and I have another file name called sales by country. Let's say your company, right? Your manager has given you these two files. He wants you to find out the sales by country. He wants you to send the sales report on a daily basis. Country wise, he wants to view the sales. So the report should show the country name and the units sold. Along with that, the sales value should also be shown in that report, daily report. So every day he wants to see in each country how many units we sold, how much sales we did it. Okay, and again he wants to have the consolidated sales. Okay, United States today how much we made. Okay, don't give me the transactional data. That is a different thing. That is what we discussed as part of group by summarization. He wants to see the summarized data. That is a different thing. First of all, he wants you to share on a daily basis in each country how many units we sold, how many transactions we made it. For each transaction, right, at the transaction level, he wants you to see the sales performance. That means United States, how many units we sold is today and how much sales we made it, and let's the day before yesterday how much we sold, and prior to day before yesterday, and prior to day before yesterday, and all right. So you want the detailed record. or the same day at different point in time, right? So till 12 p.m. This is what this says, and by 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. this is what this says. You want to see the detailed data or detailed at the transaction level, right? This is what transaction level, itemized level, right? So you want to see the sales for each and every country. So now you want the report should be in this form, like a country name, comma, unit sold, comma, sales, or country name, unit sold and sales. So in that case, the data is available, right? The data are available in two different tables. Country name is available here, and the quantity units sold and sales is available here. I hope you remember during the SQL training, I explained about this one. If you wanted to view the data from two different tables, you need to perform the join, right? So how do you perform the join? Because country name is here, and unit sold and sales, these two details are on another table. If you want to have the combination of country and quantity and sales in a single report, so in that case you need to join these two tables. How will you join these two tables? Based on the common key column. Based on the common key column between these two tables, you are going to combine it. What is the common key column between these two tables? Country ID and country ID. Right, this is my country table, this is my sales table. So for these two tables, only when I join these two tables using this common column, country ID, I should be able to get the country name, and then quantity and sales. Okay, so when you join these two tables based on that common column, you can extract country, quantity, sales. You can show these three country, quantity, sales in a single report. If you don't join these two tables, what will happen? You cannot show the report accurately. You can still show the report. You can take the country from this one, and then you can take quantity and sales, but it is not going to be an accurate. For different country, it will show for each country it will show the total sales and total quantity value only in the Power BI visual. So this is the one we are going to check it in Power BI. Then we are going to check this one now. Now what I do is I just go to the get data. We load these two tables, country and sales, and then we will see. We'll start with simple example, and we will see how we should be able to combine these two tables. Okay, these are the country related data. Okay, here it needs some kind of transformation, data transformation, because the column names are displayed in the first row itself. We need to make the column names first row as the column name. Okay, so I just select a transform, and if you go here, use first row as it is, right? So the first row is country ID in thing. I'm going to select this operand, use first row as it is. If I select this, and what will happen is the first row, the country ID in country, earlier it was in the first row. So now what we are saying, hey, don't make it part of the data. Okay, make it the column names using first row as it is. Okay, good. We are done with this. And similarly, so next step is I'm going to close and apply this one. I just go to home ribbon, and I just open the get data. To load 4 rows, it took this much of time. Okay. Okay, now let us view what columns, country and country ID. It's correct. The next one is Excel workbook. I'm going to open it here. I just go ahead and select this one, sales by. Okay, one second. I don't remember where I stored. I think it is available here. Okay, let us do one thing. I just simply copy this one and put it in another file. It is already there. That one, it is in that one folder. Okay, let me do. It's already available, that file. And here I need to select sales by country. It's already available. This file is already available. Here the data got loaded correctly. The column names were correctly identified. It was not part of the rows. And here I just rename this one as country. Just go by the data model. Okay, look here. It automatically created a relationship between these two tables. You can see a link here. So this link is nothing but relationship. It created a relationship between these two tables. So relationship between which columns? Country ID and country ID. The common column between these two tables are country ID and country ID. We don't see country here. We don't see quantity sales here. So this is kind of a master table. You just think master table, which means in this table for each country only one record will be there. But whereas here for each country multiple records will be there. You will be selling your products in multiple countries. So the transaction level data is available in this one, but this is a master table. Master table will have single record for each country. Please remember this. That is the reason why we call this that's also the reason why we call this a one-side table. Look here, it automatically detects the relationship and it creates a relationship also. So one means this table will have unique value for the country ID. It is nothing but the country. But here on this side of the table you can see star symbol. That means this table will have many records, multiple records for each country. For each country, multiple records will be there. So United States, you sold let's say you sold yesterday something, right? Yesterday data you have it, and today's data, and day before yesterday, last 5 days data. For United States itself, 5 records are there. But here for United States, only one record will be there. So hence it is a one side, this is a many side. And also the common column between these two tables are country ID. What I do is I just go to the visual now. What I do is I'll be deleting it now. For the time being, I'm going to delete the relationship. How did I delete this one? Just select this line, right click on it and delete it. It will get deleted. And when I go to the report view here, I select this one. This is my bar chart, and here what I do is I want to view the country wise sales. And if I say the quantity and sales here, let's see what happens. Look here, all these countries, it shows the same value. So if you look at this axis here, I just show you here. On the right side in the visualization pane, you can find this one, right? Here, if you look at this, the axis is country, the x-axis is country, and the values are quantity. We plotted the quantity. For all the country, the quantities are shown the same value. Is that true? Now let us go back to our Excel sheet, and if you look at here, the quantity sold for each country is not same, right? Australia, we have some Australia 10 and 5, 15 should be there, but it is not showing the correct value. Fine. What I do is I just hover the cursor on top of this one. We could see that 128, 128, 128. All these 4 countries, it shows the units, the sum of total units sold as how much? 128. Look here, it sums all the values, and then it has displayed the 128 for all the total sold unit. So total sold, so total number of sold quantity is common for all these things. This is not the correct one, right? Australia sales is different. Number of units sold in Australia, in Germany, and other countries are different, but it shows same thing. Now what I do is I just go to the modeling view. I select country ID, and I am going to select the country ID in this table. These two are common between these two table. Manually, I created the relationship between these two tables using the common column ID, country ID. If you hover the cursor here, it highlights which columns you have selected to create the relationship, country ID, country ID. So I have verified the columns, the common column which I used to set the relationship for these two tables. Now it is correctly, we have correctly used the common column between these two tables. Good. So we are good. Now let us go to the report view. Look here, it is correctly showing it now. If you hover the cursor here, you can see the 80. Germany 80 we sold, and United States we sold 18 and 17. Okay, to validate this, what we do is I just copy paste this visual. Simply Control C and Control V you do it. And then what I do is, now this visual got selected. I go to the right side and then select the table visual. If I select the table visual, this one will get automatically changed to table visual. Look here. So from this, what we understood, only when you create the relationship between the tables, Power BI is able to accurately filter the values between these two tables. What do you mean by filtering? Look here. So this is my country table and this is my sales table. So here for United States, I highlighted in red color. For example, if you go and select United States here, look here, I selected United States, it shows only United States here. And for example, if I use another visual here, donut chart. Okay, instead of instead of using this one, let me do one thing. I simply copy paste this one. So now I convert this as a donut chart. How do I do that? Select this visual after selecting this visual. Okay, so this visual also get converted as a, now in this case this visual got converted as a donut chart. Fine. Let's see, if I select United States, what happens? It shows only United States related value, right? So 18 and 18. It is doing the filtering correctly. It is doing the filtering correctly. If I select United States and New Zealand, right? United States, New Zealand, the values were correctly filtered. Now let us go back here. When I select United States, or let us do one thing, I'll just select another example. I just select the slicer. We have something called slicer. Using slicer, we can apply the filter. We can do some kind of cross filtering. What I have shown was the cross highlighting. There are two types of filtering, cross filtering and cross highlighting. Listen very carefully. So what I do is I select country and I drop it in the slicer. Instead of selecting the specific bar or the specific pie in each chart, what I do is I create a slicer visual, and here I am going to select the specific thing here, the Australia. So now what happens here, when I selected these two countries, automatically in the other visuals corresponding to this country, the values are filtered here. Look here, United States and Australia. For these two countries, what is the sales? What is the total units sold for these two countries? That is what we can see it here. Similarly, we can see it in other visuals also. So when you apply a filter or whatever the values that you selected, the corresponding values will get filtered in the other visuals also. That is what we are saying. So let us take, for example, when I select United States, it applies the filter to other visuals also. So that's why in table visual you can see United States related data, and in the column chart, right, here also you can see only United States, here we see United States. So what happens here is, when you establish a relationship, when you create the relationship in the data model, it automatically does the filtering. See, in this case, when I selected United States, what happens is, it filters the corresponding United States related records automatically. It filters the United States records automatically. If you don't specify the relationship here, if you don't create the relationship between these two tables, what will happen is, it will not be able to filter the correct countries values accurately. That's what I have shown you. So that is the reason why data modeling is very much required. In Power BI, you have to explicitly create the relationship between tables. While create the relationship, you need to be a bit cautious. Sometimes what will happen is, the model will automatically deduct the relationship between the tables. So in our case, I just imported these two tables or files. It automatically created the relationship between these two tables based on the common column between these two tables or files. So what is the common column? Country ID and country ID. Okay, if I specify different name, for example here country key, and if I specify country ID, it will not identify the relationship automatically. We have to explicitly create the relationship between these two. Supposing this is a country key, the column name is country key, but here we have used the column name as country ID. As a data model expert, or let's say as a business analyst, you know the business. Okay, this country key is nothing but the country ID in this table. Hence, I'll have to link these two columns. Fine. Remember, since we have mentioned the same naming convention for the country ID in both the tables, Power BI automatically deduct the relationship. Can deduct the relationship automatically. But if you use the different naming convention, but you know very well to link these two table, country key and country ID column, we have to use it. In that case, manually we have to go and create the relationship between these two. So now you understood the importance of defining the relationship between the tables. If you don't define, what will happen? Look here. So now it filtered the data correctly. Let's say I'm going to clear this filter by selecting this, by clicking this icon. So when I select this one, look here. For each country, how many items we sold, it correctly filtered and it's showing it. For example, if I go back here and if I delete the relationship, what will happen? Look here, if I say OK, yes. So now I remove the relationship between these two tables manually. What happens? It is not filtering it properly. It is getting confused, right? So it is not getting confused. What happens here is, it for each country, it displays the total units of sold and total sales amount, and then it puts it here. So here, in this case, I just plotted the quantity field. Look here, quantity values. In the values, I mentioned about quantity. So for all the country, it shows quantity only, total quantity sold. For the entire record, how much, what is the total number of units sold, right? That is what it shows for all the country. It is not doing the filtering correctly. Okay, how do I make sure? Look here, even when you look at this donut chart, the same thing is happening. If you hover the cursor here, you can easily make out 128, 128, 128. Here also you can see 128, 128. So now you understood how important. So now I know very well, okay, country ID and country ID. Or these two columns are common columns between these two tables. Now I linked it with this, I linked it. Now we are all set. Good. If you go back and see here, now the filtering is happening correctly. So in order to filter the data, for example, when you select the United States in the slicer, automatically it should filter the corresponding records from all the other tables. Okay, so here it lets you know United States. When you select the United States in the slicer, automatically it should filter the corresponding values from this table. Okay, and similarly Australia, when you see here Australia, all the green colored one filtered automatically. So how it is possible? Because of the relationship between these two common columns that we defined in our Power Pivot model. This is called your Power Pivot in Power BI. So now you understood the importance of data model. Now you got the answer for why data model is required. Why data model is required. So look at this one. So if you don't create the relationship between these two tables, date and sales order, it is not doing the filtering properly. It is not doing the filtering properly. After you establish the relationship between these two tables based on the common key column between these two tables, in this case date key, and here the order date key is the common. So for these two tables, the common key is date key and order date key. You can also create the relationship between date key and ship date key or due date key. So in this case, we have specified, we have mentioned, or we have indicated the common column between these two tables is date key and order date key. Look here, the order date key got highlighted here, right? So now the filtering is happening correctly. If you view month on month or year on year, what is the total says, it filters the data correctly. In sum, to filter the data correctly between tables, you need to have the relationship. If you don't have the relationship between the tables, the values will not be filtered correctly or accurately. So this is the typical data modeling process flow. As I mentioned, as part of the conceptual data model, we identify the entities at a high level. So what entities are required in order to answer this business question? For example, the user, as I told you, store wise, product wise, sales performance for a specific quarter, specific year, or if you want to perform year on year, right? So to answer to the business question, you need to have 4 entities. The one is this one, time, and other one is product and store and sales. The sales entity will have the day-to-day transactions, or it can also have the snapshot of the aggregated periodic data it can hold it. Let us assume that the sales table has the transaction level data. Every day sales data is stored here. In order to answer the business question, store wise, product wise, quarter on quarter or month on month sales performance, you need to have these four entities. Right, so first identify the entities. The next one, identify the key properties. What are the columns that are columns that are required for each entity? That we identify as part of the logical data modeling. And the next step is physical data modeling. As part of physical data modeling, right? Yeah, we define the data type, the width of each column, everything. And now, as part of conceptual data model itself, when you come up with the conceptual data model, what we do is we identify the relationship among entities, how the entities are related. Is it one to many or many to one or many to many? We identify the relationship among entities. And the next one is we map the attributes to entities completely. We map the attributes to entities completely. Look here, in this case, I came up with the two entity. One is country, other entity is sales by country. These two are two different tables. So here, first I identified the entity and then the properties of each entity. For the country, so the country name and the country ID, and the property of sales country table. This is a transaction table, and country wise, what is the quantity we sold for each country on a daily basis? How much quantity we sold? How much sales we made? We made it on each day. These are the columns that we identified as part of this entity, and similarly we identified the column names for this entity. The next step is we mapped the columns, common column between these two table. Right? Map attributes to entities completely. That is what we did. So in this case, country ID is common between these two tables. Hence we create the relationship between these two tables. And visualize the data. So the next step is visualize whether the filtering is done correctly or not. Right? And assign keys as needed and determine degrees of normalization. Okay. So whether you have whatever the keys that you assign, has that been assigned correctly or not? You just cross check it. And the next step is once you are done with your data modeling, we use a tool called Erwin to do the data model design. Since we have Power BI now, with Power BI itself you can do the data model design. You don't have to have a separate one, Erwin tool. So in this case, what we do is once you design your data model, you can vet it with your stakeholders. So what you do is you share your data model with your each department managers. So let them have a look at it, and if they find the completeness of each entities, right, then they will say okay, fine. If they find that something is missing, hey, in this case I need to have the order ID and order date. Okay, so your two attributes or columns are missing. So in that case, what you do is include those two columns. After including those two columns, you need to validate whether the relationship whatever we created between these two tables are correct or not. Otherwise, you need to recreate the relationship based on the common columns between these two tables. Fine. This is the typical data modeling process flow. So this is called star schema. In the data warehouse, we have something called star schema data model design. Okay, so this is called star schema. So here we have customer, product and date and sales territory and reseller. Reseller is nothing but the stock is and sales order. Okay, so these tables, whatever you see it here, these are called your dimension tables. These are called your dimension tables. And this is called your fact table. This is called your fact table. F-A-C-T, fact table. This is C, okay, fact table. This is sales fact and customer dimension, product dimension, date dimension, sales territory and reseller dimension table, and sales also another dimension table. Why we call it dimension table? The dimension table consists of the combination of the descriptive information and the surrogate key. What is the descriptive information about your fact table? This is my fact table. Each dimension table will have the descriptive information about this fact table along with the corresponding surrogate key of these tables. For example, customer key is called surrogate key. You just think at this moment it's a primary key. Primary key. You remember what is primary key? As part of SQL training, I explained you what is primary key, what is foreign key. So this is my primary key. And along with this, just having the customer key is not sufficient. You need to have the customer name also. Okay. And here in the fact table, in the case of fact table, you can see the fact table will hold the combination of all these dimension tables keys, the surrogate keys, and plus the facts or the measures. What do you mean by facts or measures? Which is nothing but the numerical or quantitative variable name. For example, net sales, gross sales, net revenue or gross revenue, and total units sold or number of units sold. These are all the quantitative variable. Hence, fact table will consist the combination of all your dimension tables surrogate keys. These are the surrogate keys. So here online key and reseller key. These are the surrogate keys. It will have the combination of all this your dimension table surrogate key plus the fact. Fact is nothing but the total sales or total revenue, gross revenue, COGS, cost of goods sold, everything will be, these are called your facts. So fact table will have the combination of the all your dimension tables surrogate key plus the facts, and each dimension table will have the combination of the descriptive information about your fact table and the surrogate key. Customer key plus customer first name and last name is age, marital status, and the location. Okay, these are all column. These are the columns that are related to customers, or these are the properties that are related to customer. Similarly, product ID, which is nothing but product key, product name, and then the cost price and stock on hand, effective start date, effective end date, something, or forget about that one, you just stock on hand. So these are the properties of product table. If you just have the product key in your fact table is not sufficient. Supposing your department manager wants to see product wise, customer wise, total sales by region. So he is interested in seeing the customer name, right? Customer name and product name. So in that case, the product customer name is available here, product name is available here, the region name, which is nothing, the territory name is available here, and the quantity sold is available in this fact table. But here you have the surrogate key for all the dimension tables you stored here, but the name of the customer, product name, you did not store it here. To know the customer name for a specific customer key, you need to do a lookup on this table. These two tables have to be joined together based on the common key column between these. So the common key column between these two tables are customer key, and for these two tables is product key and product key. So look here, this is a one side. See, when you look at this table, on this side of this table you can see one here, on this side of this table you can see one here, on this side of this table you can see one here, and similarly you can see one here. Similarly, you can see one here. Similarly, you can see one here. But the fact table side, when you see here, here you can see the many. Here you can see many. Here you can see many. Here also you can see many, right? So if you look at from downward to upward, many to one relationship. From upward to downward, if you look at it, it is one to many. Right, one to many. But here it is wrongly showing it. Okay, Anyhow, so we will discuss this little later. At this moment, you just understand what exactly star schema is all about. In a nutshell, star schema consists of dimensions and fact table. Now the question is, can a star schema have more than one fact table? Yes, you can have more than one fact table also. In this case, we have only one fact table. So then why do we call this as a star schema first of all? Because this fact table is surrounded by multiple dimension tables. Since this fact table is surrounded by multiple dimension tables, it looks like a star, hence it is called a star schema. So now you got an idea what is star schema. We have something else called snowflake schema. So now the question is what? Now I understood if a fact table is surrounded by more than one dimension table, we call that a star schema. And what exactly the star schema is all about? Is that what a star schema is all about? Yes. If a fact table is surrounded by multiple dimension table, we call this a star schema. This is one type of data model design. We have another type of data model design that is called snowflake schema. I am not going to talk about snowflake schema now because I don't want you to get overwhelmed by different terminologies. At this moment, I am going to limit my discussion around star schema only. Now you understood. So each dimension table will have only one record in it. Like I showed you here in the case of customer, look here, country. In this case, the country table, for each country you will have only one record in it. But whereas if you look at here, you can see multiple records for US. For United States, we can see only one record here, but whereas you can see multiple, the country code is available in this table. Similarly, for Australia, for a single we have only one record is available in this table, whereas in this table we will have multiple records are there for Australia. It depends on the transaction. This is called transaction table, or we can say a roughly fact table. This is a dimension table. Similarly, right, if you compare that with this one, if you keep that in mind and if you refer this one, yes, the product table will have for each product only one record will be there in product table. Similarly, for each region only one record will be there in the sales territory. For each customer only one record will be there in customer table. There is something called slowly changing dimension. So there you can have more than one record will also be that I am not going to discuss now. At this moment, you just think each dimension will store unique records. What do you mean by unique records? The customer dimension table, for each customer it will store only one record. Similarly, in the product dimension table, for each product it will store only one record. That's it. Okay. But since we store only one record for each product or for each instance, you can see one here, right? For all these dimension table, you can see one here. But the other end of this dimension table, we can see multiple. For each customer made more than one purchase, and each product we sold more than one time at different time, okay, and different region, okay. So for each region we could see multiple transactions are there. Customers from different region, for each product they purchased more than one time. We can think that way, okay. So this is what star schema is all about. This is how we need to design the star schema, okay. So what exactly star schema? These are the things that I need to keep in mind. Keep all numeric values in fact tables. Look here, the order quantity and product cost and this one, revenues or number, sales amount. These are the numeric values. In the fact tables, keep all the numeric values, quantitative variables. keep all descriptive information in surrogate key. Surrogate key is nothing but kind of a primary key, unique identifier, into other tables called dimension table. Fact tables, these are fact tables are surrounded by star. These dimension tables explain these facts. Without the dimension table, how can you explain these facts? For example, in this table, you have the key, the currency key, say territory key, promotion key, customer key, date key, and product key. And you have the unit sold for a specific record 100. With that, how can you determine this 100 belongs to which product? How can you say? In order to say that, you need to connect or create a relationship. You need to have another table, product table. So this is a dimension table. This product table explains, or it gives the context to that 100. Hey, this unit sold 100 is related to so and so product. So that is what it says. A dimension table is joined to the fact table using foreign key. The dimension tables are not joined to each other. Look here, these two dimensions were not joined together, right? All these dimension tables are standalone here. Whereas in the case of snowflake schema, the dimension table itself will get joined, okay, will get joined with each other. I'm not going to discuss this now, okay, for the time being, because I don't want to dump everything in a single session. So hope you understood what is a data model is all about, and what is the importance of creating the relationship, or what is the importance of defining the relationship between the tables. Without that, it is not filtering the data correctly. Now you understood what is a fact table. It contains measures of a business. Okay, so what is measures? Nothing but the facts. Facts are nothing but the numeric or quantitative variable, like unit cost. For example, unit cost is a fact or a measure. Sales revenue is also called as a measure. Profit is also a measure. Unit sold is also a measure, because these are all the quantitative variable. The fact table consists of measures or the facts. It is also called as a facts. Okay. The data in a fact table should be sliced and diced by the data dimensions. So since you have defined the dimensions around the fact table, you should be, and also since we have created the relationship between the fact table and the dimension table, you should be able to slice and dice the data from your fact table. What do you mean by slicing and dicing? If I want to view the data in different dimensions, for example, if I want to view the sales by customer, or sales by customer by region, or sales by customer by region by quarter. If you want to view the data in any dimension, right, that is called your slicing and dicing. Okay. What are the types of fact tables are there? Transactional fact table, and periodic snapshot table, and then accumulating snapshot fact table, and factless fact table. Transactional fact table, as I told you, you store everyday data in your fact table. For example, your fact table consists of the last 5 years transactional data in it. Take for example in the case of Walmart or Amazon or other big box retailer, every 1 hour itself they generate 1 million records. Okay, and if you store 5 years of data, you just think how much volume of the data this fact table will have in it, right? So that's one. So instead of storing the daily transaction data here, some cases they store the periodic snapshot also. Okay, instead of storing the entire everyday transaction data, we don't want that. We want to have the periodic snapshot fact table. So in that case, it's kind of aggregated data in it. Accumulating snapshot, right? So I think both of them are same. So I wanted to store only the summarized data for the quarter or monthly summarized value. Let's say we store 5 years data. So each month I am going to summarize the total units sold and total units, total sales amount. So 5 into 12 months, right? So 5 into 60 records will be there. So in that case, if you want to summarize, if you want to generate a summarized visual, the performance will be much faster because you are pre-aggregating those data. So at the time of report, we are not doing the aggregation. For example, in this case, I stored the 5 years data in it. So if the manager asks you last 5 months total sales units sold, can you give me a report? So in that case, if you perform aggregation, sum of the 1 year data the sum of the total units sold for the 1 year data, it will take longer time because the volume of the data is very high. Instead, if you aggregate, if you summarize the data for each month and store it every month, each month, at the end of each month itself, if you do the aggregation and if you store it in a separate fact table, and at the end of the year, if you want to view the total sales or total units sold by year, or month-wise total units sold, month-wise total sales, if you want to see it, since you aggregate or summarize these two measures value on a month-on-month basis, generating the report will be much faster. Accumulating snapshot fact table is also somewhat similar to this one. Okay, and a factless fact table is sometimes you will have more than one fact table. These two fact tables or these two tables are already having, sorry, this is a many table, this is a many table. Okay, a region can have more than one salesperson. A salesperson can work on multiple regions. You have the many to many relationship. So in this case, right, what Power BI in general, as part of the data modeling, if you speak to any data model architect, there is a separate job for data modeling itself. Okay, there is a separate job. It's like Power BI developer, Power BI senior developer. There is a separate designation for data modelers. Okay, so they are the one responsible for doing all the data modeling. Nowadays, the companies or customers are expecting a developer himself doing all kind of everything you need to do it, including data model design, everything. Fine. So in this case, if you the best practice is don't have many to many model in your as part of a data model. It is not accepted having the many to many model. Instead, what you do is a many to many relationship. In that case, what you do is introduce a new table, additional table in between these two tables. So here in this table, salesperson key, and in this table we have something called sales person key. Sorry, this is salesperson key and then sales territory key. Okay, and what you do is in this table salesperson key, you just store it in this table, and hence one to many, right? In this case, salesperson key is available only one time, and whereas in this case the region stored only one time, so one to many here, right? So you combine these two things. This is called your factless fact table. Anyhow, we will discuss this in detail later point in time. So this is also called as a bridge table, BRIDG. This table is serving as a bridge between these two tables, because a single salesperson can be deployed in multiple, or he might be covering multiple region, and a single region can have multiple salesperson also. It's many to many relationship. Many to many relationship is not decide one. It is not a best practice. You have it as part of your data model design. To overcome that, we need to introduce a bridge table. In the case of star schema, we call this a fact tables. Okay, so to bridge these two fact table, or to overcome the many to many relationship, we are introducing a bridge table, which is nothing but the factless fact table. Hope you are able to understand all these concepts so far. Okay, so guys, it's already 6:15. Since I told you, right, since I changed my time, what I do is I'm going to wrap up as of now. You just watch my today's video without fail. So what we will do is, since tomorrow, I think tomorrow most of them are not available, I will check with others also if everybody is available. Yeah, one member, one person, she said she is traveling. I'll check with others also. Best thing what we do is we will have it on Monday. Okay. So for whatever I covered, you please review it thoroughly. The next session we will have it on Monday. And what we will do is this Monday we will continue the data model part, and also we will have some kind of hands-on. I'll share some files to you all. What you do is we can start do the data model design along with me in that session, so that you will get a hands-on. You will be able to understand how to do the data model design. Okay. Fine. So Monday also we will continue the same time, 4 to 5:30 p.m. I understood evening between 5 to 6:30 is a bit challenging. Unfortunately, today my meeting got extended. I had to postpone it. Anyhow, I'll see to that. Okay, I will plan it accordingly from my side. Okay. Tell me, Bernard, is it Bernard? Yeah, tell me, Bernard.
Yes, sure. So, are you able to share with us? I'm seeing you were recording this session to share with us the whole session so that at least we can go through.
Sure, definitely we'll share this one to you. Bernard, we'll do that. Okay, we'll share it. Can I know your WhatsApp number also, so that I will share it to you?
Sure, I will send you a WhatsApp message.
Yeah, can you text it now, or you can? Why don't you text it now? I don't think so. You have my number, isn't it? You don't have my
I have,
WhatsApp number.
I have your number. Let me just text you that you right away.
Yeah,
Okay, I've texted you.
sure. Or in the chat window, why don't you type it there, so that I can note it down?